What up everyone, it's your boy Xmanny87 here, bringing you another Marvel Legends video, and what I have for you today is the Target exclusive Marvel Legends Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man Noir, and Spider-Ham action figure review. Before we get into everything, if you could please leave a thumbs up, like rating on the video, it'll help show your support for my channel and I greatly appreciate it. Now with that said, let's go! Alright, so here is our Spider-Man Noir from Into the Spider-Verse, and originally I was not going to review this figure, but after messing around with him, I actually ended up liking this figure way more than I thought I would. And since I reviewed the rest of the Into the Spider-Verse figures, I figured, hey, why not? Let me review this one as well. But before we dive in and take a closer look, I did want to let you know that he is borrowing some reused parts, so they just did a very good job in concealing it because it does look new from afar. But the jacket arms are from the Peter B. Parker, and then the base body, the upper torso, and the legs are from the T'Challa Star-Lord. The boots here are new, so from knees up, he's pretty much this T'Challa Star-Lord. Again, to me, it doesn't look like it, because I don't know why this figure looks like straight up trash, but yet it looks so good on this figure. I don't know, maybe it's because it's all solid black, and everything looks better in black, but yeah. Anyway, I will point out those brand new parts as we move along in the video. As we take a close look at the default head, I dig it, man. It looks badass, especially that fedora. I'm really liking the way it looks. I like this dotted deco it has in some of these areas because it mimics the fabric of his clothing. So, oh man, that looks so good. And then the mask here, you see the lens looks really nice. And then you see the cobwebbing pattern is actually sculpted there. So that looks really good. And inside of that, you get that dotted texture as well. It just looks so good. It brings out more realism. I do dig it. Unfortunately, I have some QC on the eye lens right there on both of them. As you can see, there's a chunk of paint that's just, I think it was just overused and stuff because it is very splotchy and that really sucks. Then you get this additional overlay here that serves as a turtleneck, so that looks good. And we get a new jacket finally. So I think this is the new jacket going forward that will be replacing the Nick Fury jacket because people were tired of that jacket. Seen it on Multiple Man, Gambit, Spider-Man Noir here as you see. The only problem I have with this is the bottom here is just splayed out, and it's always going to look like it's in a flowing motion, where at least this jacket was down. And you know, this is good for like dynamic posing and photography, but if you just want them standing still, I mean, I guess it could still work depending what you're trying to capture in your photograph, but it's just best if it's just straight down like this, which I wish there was an additional jacket piece that was straight down. I don't know, is it because this would give you more articulation to spread out the legs? Maybe that's why they did it. Hold on, let me see here. No, actually this didn't hinder the movement here. I mean, this figure couldn't really spread his legs that far, but I don't see any hindering there whatsoever because, again, this is pliable. So and then I check on Gambit, who might have a better leg spread for his body type, but yeah, it doesn't hinder it whatsoever, so I'm confused. Speaking of Gambit, we might see this jacket reused again for the supposedly rumored 275 Gambit, so, you know, I could definitely see this being reused for that. My biggest gripe with this jacket is it does not allow him to properly execute a vanilla pose. So when you look at him to the side right there, you can see that the arms are not straight down in a relaxed pose. They're not aligned with his thighs right there. It should be at the side of his thighs, and as you can see, they are sticking outwards because the way this jacket is sculpted, it does not allow him to move that straight down. So that is a big bummer. That is very frustrating. It's just as bad if his arms stuck outwards like that and you couldn't move them all the way straight down. So yeah, it's really bad. The sculpting of the jacket does look good though. I like how the sculpting of the belt is right there and it's pliable. The only thing I wish they did more with this jacket was, remember how I pointed out the dotted deco to mimic the fabric? How it is on his fedora? Well, they put it on his shoulders and then the bottom of his sleeves right here. How awesome it would have been if they just spreaded that entire deco all throughout his hat and all over the jacket. you would have had a great contrast breaking up the jacket pieces and all the fabric pieces and separating it from the torso and the pants. You know, if they wanted to accomplish that shadowy look in the inner body. But I think a simple deco count like that would have broken their budget completely. And it is kind of plain on the torso here. I mean, he's supposed to have some sort of flap jacket. I mean, even in the movie, you could see in images that he'll have buttons there. And, you know, the fabric is exposed. So they could have added the dotted deco here. Or at least, you know, just at least the upper torso or something. Then they could have blended in the buttons around the dotted deco. I mean, you know, they're already making it look cheap. At least make it look a little less cheap. But you get some buttons on the side and you get some stitching patterns, especially right here around the collar. And it looks good. It's just I'm bothered by the bottom of this jacket being splayed out like that. The arms, as I mentioned, are from the Peter B. Parker. And oh man, that dotted deco looks so nice. If only it was spread throughout more, because it looks really good. The hands here are not those glove-like kind of hands. They're actually bare hands, and man, you can see fingernails on them. That sucks. Like, you're not supposed to see that. They're supposed to be gloves. And some new layered pieces, like this belt right here attached to the holster. And look at this bullshit right here. I don't know how this happened, but somehow the plastic got punctured and it just came as is. So, wow. This is QC bullshit at its finest. That's some nice stitching right there on the side of the holster, but this is unforgivable, man. Again, the legs like the T'Challa Star-Lord. You got the pockets right there. And you get back pockets? No, it's just seams. And you get the nice dotted deco right there at the knees. Same knee pads as the T'Challa Star-Lord. And new boots, so these are new sculpted boots, and even the feet are newly sculpted. I like the wrinkled folds on the ankles. That looks pretty cool. So these look nice. Serial number at the bottom. Now for accessories, it comes with an alternate head, and the good thing about this is when you swap the head, unlike the T'Challa Star-Lord, the ball peg stays within the neck, where that figure had an issue. The ball peg would detach with the head. So no issues there. I'm glad that they fixed it. And the alternate head is the mask without the fedora. And this looks really cool because you can see the cobwebbing pattern continued throughout. And it ends with those two seams right there by the temples. My thing is, this wasn't necessary because they could have just made this fedora removable. I don't know why they didn't do that. That would have definitely freed up some budget to give us alternate hands, which the figure is sorely lacking. Another reason why we would have been better off with a removable fedora is that we could have been able to put this fedora on our comic book Spider-Man Noir, which they failed to give us. And this is why an accessory pack would be beneficial. Then next up, he comes with his Luger pistol, and you can have him hold it on either hand. Then you can store the gun into his holster, which could be a pain in the ass because you're gonna have to shift the figure off to the side and then store the Luger in there, and there you go. Now, I recommend that you don't push it all the way down, because what's going to happen is that the gun is going to be stuck in there, and you're going to need to find some sort of thin tool to pick it out. So I recommend you at least keep the handle of the gun exposed a little bit right there, because then you could pick it off with your fingernail and pop it out. So if you go all the way in, just to show you, yeah, as you can see, you're gonna need a tool to get that out. Damn, I'm still pissed off about this plastic tear right there. So I did give him wall crawling hands using the Bombastic Bagman's wall crawling hands. You can also give him the fist. He doesn't come with whipping hands. Maybe the Symbiote Spider-Man has the white patch on it, so the whipping hands wouldn't work. Anyway, you can do this as a workaround. It's great. It fits in just fine. So you could get like those wall crawling poses if you want, and those fists as well, since he did a lot of punching in the movie. The only thing that sucks is that you're not going to get a traditional crouching pose with him because the knee articulation sucks on this. Then the biggest wasted spot here was this Spider-Ham. I mean, it's the same one we got with Spider-Gwen, I believe he came with. Same thing. They didn't even paint the cobwebbing, and he just has a darker blue deco. I don't know. I can't find my other Spider-Ham for some reason, but whatever. And the only articulation is that He has a head rocker, that's it. What a waste! They could have included like a Rubik's Cube. All they had to do was take the Tesseract and just paint it in different square colors, you know? I don't know. Does Hasbro own Rubik's Cube? I don't even remember. Maybe it's another company and that's why they can't do it. Not sure about that. Ooh, this Spider-Man Noir looks really cool. Like he's hiding in the shadows in the background. So yeah, Spider-Ham is like a figure accessory. They're billing it as a 2-pack since it says Spider-Man Noir and Spider-Ham on the actual packaging. They didn't bill Spider-Ham when he came with Spider-Gwen, so $29.99 for this. Now, to cover articulation with Spider-Man Noir, his head moves that far up. You're not going to get that much movement. But it does move that far down, left to right. It does tilt very nicely and it rocks around. His arms move all the way up like that, so higher than a traditional T-pose. It moves down all around. He's got the bicep swivel, double jointed pinless elbows. You got the wrist swivel and a traditional wrist hinge. Oddly enough, no vertical hinge to properly position his Luger. Ab crunch moves that far forward and that far back. The torso doesn't look awkward when crunched. He has what I like to call the Batman the Animated Series abdomen, where it has that nice slight curve. He's got the waist swivel. Legs move that far apart, so he does have a good spread for Spider-Man. That is nice. His legs kick up about that high, and he kicks that far back. His legs can also rock around. You got the thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and no heel to the Noir butt whatsoever. Nowhere near close. So he has double jointed knees that work as a single jointed knee almost. You know, you get more than a 90-degree bend, but yeah, it will limit some poses like I showed you earlier with trying to execute a crouch pose, but his ankles move that far up and they move that far down, and they can rock all around. Kicking off comparisons, here is our Into the Spider-Verse movie Spider-Man Noir next to his comic book counterpart. Here is Spider-Man Noir next to T'Challa's Star-Lord, in which he's borrowing the base body from. Here is our Into the Spider-Verse Spider-Ham next to his comic book counterpart. Here is Spider-Man Noir next to Prowler from the same movie. And lastly, here is Spider-Man Noir next to his Into the Spider-Verse movie mates, Miles, Spider-Ham, Gwen, and Peter B. Alright, and now to wrap things up, my final verdict of this figure is a rating of 7 out of 10. I gotta give credit on how they dissimulated some of the reused parts here to make it look fresh. Then again, this is the first time that Star-Lord, T'Challa, and Peter B. Parker parts are reused, so it's not on an overplayed level. So I'm okay with it. What I'm not okay with is the lack of accessories that I feel Spider-Ham sucked up all the budget for that spot. Yes, even reissuing a figure accessory like him is still costly to them, believe it or not. Then turning it around and charging us $29.99 for it. I would have done without Spider-Ham. Give us extra set of hands, the Rubik's Cube, and an interchangeable jacket. That would have made $30 a bit easier to swallow. The head sculpts are neatly done, and the Luger is a necessity for this character. The deco count here is pretty satisfying and decently balanced. With the style of animation being overboard, I wish they went overboard with the paint deco here to fulfill that look closest to the source material and make up for some inaccuracies. I found him enjoyable to pose despite some limitations with articulation. You have to find the right poses that'll make him work. Vanilla can be a pain since his jacket prevents him from straightening his arms down in a relaxed pose. That's just a personal gripe of mine on any figure that can't do that. Unfortunately, the line is perennially struggling with QC all year, where yet another figure I get falls victim to. Not worth the price, but price and QC aside though, I still like this figure and he looks great on the shelf alongside his fellow Spider-Verse movie gang. Now I kick it back to you. What do you think of this Spider-Man Noir? Who do you want to see next from the movie? I want them to complete the team first, so I'd love to get a Penny Parker with SPDR in a supersized premium deluxe offering. Comment below, let me know, we'll chat about it. That was my review. Please follow me on Instagram at xmanny87. Hit the notification bell so you always know when my latest videos are up. Share and subscribe if you're new. See you on the next video. Peace, peace.